Hi, my name is Volker, and this is Applications, the TYPO3 Community Podcast, sharing your stories, your projects, and the difference you make. Celebrate the TYPO3 community on Applications, the TYPO3 Podcast. Meet the humans behind their technology. And you say you want
No,
to make it spontaneous, but you have scripted your questions and your text, and I
no,
should be spontaneous.
yes, you're supposed to be totally spontaneous and I'm supposed to be totally prepared. That's how life works, Volker. You know,
Okay.
there's the winners and the unprepared, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Welcome to Application, the TYPO3 Community Podcast. 1, 2. Welcome to Application, the TYPO3 Community Podcast. I'm Jeffrey A. McGuire. You can call me Jam. And this is where we celebrate the TYPO3 community, sharing your stories, talking about your projects and the difference you make in, around, and with TYPO3 CMS. It's Volker Week on the TYPO3 podcast. Just like Shark Week, except with less shark and more Volker Graubaum, Chief Product Officer of TYPO3 CMS. On today's episode of Application, the TYPO3 podcast, you'll hear parts of a conversation I had with Volker Graubaum in March 2021, about 3 months into his job as Chief Product Officer of TYPO3 CMS. While he is formally employed within the TYPO3 company, he is responsible for, as he puts it, the product TYPO3. We get into the idea of community software and a community product, his vision for serving the community, and how he's working with Benny Mac and all of us as a market tester and solution promoter to, quote, bring focus to further development. Volker sees his job, the TYPO3 company, and much of the official TYPO3 community structure as enablers for those of us who build, use, and benefit from the TYPO3 project ecosystem. Full disclosure, I booked 90 minutes with Volker to give myself room for technical hiccups and connectivity problems. I expected to talk maybe for an hour and get a solid 45 minutes out of it. Well, we spoke for more than 3 hours. I did have to fight with some severe connectivity problems along the way, but I think that most of the conversation is really worth hearing. So, this is episode 1 of 3 with Volker Graubaum. I hope you enjoy listening to it and that it whets your appetite for more. In upcoming episodes, you'll hear more about the early days of the TYPO3 community, how Volker got into it, and all about the new theme-based roadmap he's introduced for TYPO3. So,
Yeah, great.
why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Volker. I already said that in the intro.
Volker
And
Graubaum.
Volker Graubaum, yeah, actually it's Graubaum. That's a German name. It's not a generic name. So you can't translate it easily. I am working as CPO for TYPO3 since January of this year. And I used to work with TYPO3 for nearly 20 years. I had an agency where we implement a lot of TYPO3 projects, and I used to be very active in the community and make a lot of events. Started a TYPO3 bar camp. I think I make the first real TYPO3 bar camp 2008. Then it spread it around, and now there are a lot of bar camps. Actually, when there's no corona, there will be a lot of bar camps again. And yes, and finally I joined TYPO3 full time, and as a CPO, as Chief Product Officer, I'm focusing on bring the product to the next level. And I think for that it's very important that we speak about what is the product and what do I mean with the next level? Because actually, TYPO3 is a real good product, but it could be maybe sometimes a little bit be more focused when we are thinking about further development. So, yeah, I would love to talk about my ideas, my plan, what I've done so far, and what are the next steps.
there's a lot to dig into there. Um, when you say you're working for TYPO3, I'd like to be really clear, especially for people who might be considering adopting TYPO3 and understanding what's going on there. You work for a company called TYPO3 GmbH officially, which is a proper commercial entity that it was created. It's a fully owned subsidiary of the TYPO3 Association, the nonprofit that looks after the community. And the TYPO3 company, let's call it, was founded to represent the association and the community and provide products and services to support TYPO3, the CMS. So, for example, because TYPO3 has a contributor license, the TYPO3 company can be an official vendor and offer official vendor support, which helps people sell projects, for example. And you offer SLA support, and you offer some partnership programs and a bunch of different things. So this is a really interesting thing to have in a community. And I feel it's one of the things that makes TYPO3 a really strong offering. And I think it should really help, when it comes to, like, for example, what your job is as chief product officer, you have some, in the middle of a very democratic community, you have the ability to go in and propose some ideas and get them done. Why don't you tell me what your vision is for being chief product officer of an open source CMS?
Yeah, Jem, I will tell you that later, but thanks for the clearing up with the GmbH and so with the commercial company, which is actually owned by the TYPO3 Association, so it's owned by the community. I think that's very important to understand. And even if we are offering products around the TYPO3 CMS system, we are mainly an enabler. And I think that's very important to understand. We are not doing business with TYPO3 in general, but we are enabling the community doing business with that. And next to that, it's of course, we have products, but the products where it's needed to have a commercial, official institution for.
Right.
So,
And in contrast to some other communities, the TYPO3 company, your actual articles of incorporation forbid you to offer products and services that compete with members of the community and their companies. So your company is explicitly designed to improve and enhance the ecosystem and not be a strong competition in the middle of it, for example.
yeah, exactly. That's I think that's very, very important to mention and to be clear with that. And now we can come to my role because actually also I'm formally located in the TYPO3 GmbH. I'm not responsible for the GmbH products, but for the product TYPO3. So
So
I'm
your job is to look after TYPO3 CMS, that collection of code and activities.
yeah, but maybe we have to define the product TYPO3
Yeah. Okay.
because uh,
Then we know what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. So we are not talking about that what is in the past mainly meant when you are talking about TYPO3 CMS, because that's mostly mean the TYPO3 core system. So, which is actually a very stable, very grown up CMS system with a lot of things around. So I'm when we are talking about my job, we are not talking about that I'm responsible for how the core will develop. I'm working very hard together with Benny to make even the core better. But actually, I'm not so focused on that because we have Benny is responsible for the TYPO3 core,
Right.
and of course, we have to work together on the main product TYPO3, but there's a lot of more. So, for example, TYPO3 was, I think, the first system, at least I know, content management and even products around, which has his it's called the extension manager, which is quite sounds complicated, but to be very honest, it's a completely free app store for TYPO3, and we have it since 2002. So I
The
think we was
modular extensibility of the system.
and very easy to extend. So just click on I want that extension or that add-on, install it, and have it, and it's there and it's working. And so it's not far away from that what an app store is, actually, without all the commercial marketplaces things on that.
Sure.
And so there we was very early. So we all that extension belongs to TYPO3, to the product TYPO3. And when we are looking at extensions, technical, we have different kind of extensions. So we have things which makes the product, the core TYPO3 better, but we have a lot of extension which I call in the future integrations. So that TYPO3 can interact with third-party systems and can add really a lot of functionality to TYPO3 by interacting with the best solutions for different tasks, for the best digital asset management system, for the best marketing solution, for the best analytics solution, or the solution you are already using.
Right.
So that's a very important part of the product either. And
Do you think that having the extension system, so the absolute ability to modify and improve core behavior and integrate other functionality, add other functionality, integrate other systems, does that help you make the core the best it can be and not get distracted by trying to add too many things?
Yeah, definitely. It will help us, or it is already helping us to focus on central functionality, thinking about how we make it as flexible as possible to interact with a lot of different systems, to give the community the possibility to improve the system via add-ons. And so, yeah, we are very focused. Of course, we have to improve it, and we are not a totally small system with just basic functionality. So you can use TYPO3, the core, a standalone full CMS system, and have really enterprise functionality when you're looking on web content management.
Yeah.
But you can make it much more than a web content management when you use all the extension integration possibilities.
Right. So let me run a couple of my ideas past you. I see the TYPO3 core came out of an agency, and the majority of the community is somehow involved in the agency world. So I see the core tool set is 80-90% of what you need for most agency projects. And most agency projects, larger websites, lots of information, lots of organization. And then the core functionality is really focused around helping agencies deliver great client projects, suites of websites for enterprises, legal compliance data in many languages, regional variations, all that sort of larger information rich website. It does really well. There's a great editorial workflow built in. The page tree helps authors and marketers really understand what they're doing on the site and build microsites, or, there's this incredible amount of, I want to call it a fully featured CMS, and it's an incredible amount of stuff that makes it easy to use once it's installed and set up for you in all of these working contexts. And that's awesome. And then, so I think it's, the core is quite rich in functionality because I think it's focusing on that mission. And I'd like to know what you think its mission is. And then you can choose what to develop and choose where, okay, that's another industry, that's another specialty, that's something that someone can help us with, right? We can make a partnership, or we can, something like that. So what do you think the mission of the core is?
Yeah, I think the mission is an enabler. So it's the core brings, I wouldn't say 8%, 89% of what you need in agency projects when we are talking about all the big projects, because we all know all projects are different. And so I would say it's more like an 80-20 solution.
Okay.
And because you probably have 80% the same way, more or less. So, and with TYPO3, with the core, we have about 80% of functionality, what you need to implement your project. But what we have done is that we make it as flexible as possible so that we don't have 80% of our work with the 20% which we are doing individual, but we make it more flexible so that we have an 80-20 in terms of functionality. But let's say we only need 50% of our time for the 20% individual solutions, since we have this wide ecosystem, we
Right.
had a lot of add-ons and so on. So you don't have to build so much on an individual way,
Right.
but we have all that already due to the ecosystem and the flexibility the system offers you.
Right. And the structure of the community with the TYPO3 company acting as a vendor also means, I believe, that you as a chief product officer can look around at the projects people are doing and what people need and make a targeted high quality investment in we're going to integrate with these e-commerce platforms that everybody uses. We're going to integrate with these digital asset management. We're going to make that 80-20 solution even stronger and give the community these enhancements.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's exactly that. So it's I think we have really a lot of integrations already out there, but we are not talking about that very much because they've been done by a lot of different agencies, which are more or less included in the, let's say, active community, because they belong to the community, and actually they are not very inactive, but they're maybe not going to events and not talking about what they are doing. They are just
Hmm.
offering these integrations. And
Hmm.
I think it's very important to get a knowledge about what has already been done. For example, when I started my work, the first thing has done is I went through all extensions which are out there for the version 10, and I
Wow.
found so many really great integrations, and I don't find a place where we are saying that we can interact with all these different systems.
Like a
And
page that says, here's the TYPO3 integration landscape. Look how great it
exactly.
is. Ah,
So, and I think it's very important that we are talking about that. And on the other side, it's very important that we help the people, that when they are doing integrations, that they know what is the best way to do that, and that they are thinking about how can we work together. So in terms of integration, I'm very interested in bringing together the agency who has already made the integration together with the third party provider, together with us, to have a more official and a more clear defined solution, so that we can offer an official integration to our customers.
I also see that if you partner with an external service that a lot of us use in our projects, you expose that company to everyone in the TYPO3 world, and you give them the potential to have more customers because people are going to buy their service. And at the same time, if you make that official link and you or your team is looking after that integration, then people also know that when there are new features or when there are problems, somebody's actually going to be responsible for it. And I think sometimes some people's concerns in open source are, hey, there's a plugin out there for this. The last update was 6 months ago, and 2 versions of JavaScript ago, and I need this, but it's going to be more work for me, and they might choose to do something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot. I think there are a lot of tasks or whatever features people need, um, which are ready out there with extensions, but they used to create their own extension because it's in their way, and they have this problem you are mentioned that
Hmm.
who should I contact? Do I have a talk with if I need an add-on and so on? And oh no, I don't want to work on that extension because I'm not sure where this work goes and so on. And
Ah.
yes, I would say a very important part of my work as a product officer is actually working as a community officer a little bit. So bring together all the people who are jam your step. Okay,
So, what's going on with
we
my
have now a
Wi-Fi?
cut, and you
Da, da,
can get
da.
something to drink right now.
Hey, so
Y- You're
um
back.
you're
So
back. So you were saying that your vision of being the chief product officer for this open source CMS is actually being some sort of a community facilitator, or or how did you put it?
yeah, actually, I think it's very important to understand that we are talking about a community product. So there is not this one company which are developing an open source product. So open source is cool itself, but a community product is much cooler because all the people around there who belongs to the community can develop it and has to develop it. So if I want to make next steps with the product, it's very important that I interact with all the people who are working with and for TYPO3, and not for the company, but for the agencies as a freelancer in the in government or in universities, wherever they are working with that. It's very important that we come in contact with them, what see what their needs are, and also give them a vision how they can help to make TYPO3 as a product better.
Mm.
So it's that's why I think it's of course the focus is on the product I have, but it's very important that the community understand my ideas, which are not built on a green field, but are existing because I'm talking with other people, looking at the market and look what the strengths of TYPO3 is in the moment or are already,
Mm.
and brings it all together and then bring together the community to work on that.
Are you saying in a way that you are trying to bring community back or add community thinking at more levels? I see agencies that make a really interesting extension and then just keep it in house for their projects. And I don't fully understand if they think it's a competitive advantage or if they think it's too much work to maintain it for other people to use, or if they've just, this is not an accusation and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a sort of like forgot a little bit about why we're in community software, why we're in open source software together. Because if I do work once and I let you play with it, you're going to give it back to me better. You know, you can code better than I can. So I always think if I put my best ideas out there, I'm going to get something better back.
Yeah, actually, it's good that you're asking. I don't want call that they forgot why they are here, but you mentioned other points which are very important. So on the one hand, it's very hard to maintain a product. So you can develop it for yourself, and you of course have the documentation for yourself in a more or less perfect way. Let's be very honest on that.
Well, good
But
enough for you, right? And it
yeah,
has some rough
exactly.
edges and whatever it is, but you know it's okay. It's good enough
Yeah,
for
and
inside.
exactly. And but when you have to, you're going to publish it, you have the idea that you want to present your company outside to the public. So the documentation and all that which is included in the in the extension or in the integration is presenting my company.
Mm.
So it even if the code quality, for example, has the right quality, not the extension as a product has the quality I want to present, where I want to present my company with.
But at the
So
same time,
yeah,
maybe getting a couple of developers to take the time to really make it look sort of perfect and be perfectly documented and everything is a little bit too expensive, is a little bit too much effort to justify when my agency is only making a certain profit margin and people have to be doing billable hours, have to be working for clients, right? So I make something that's good, but I'm a little bit embarrassed about letting it go if it's not perfect, but perfect is too expensive. Do you think people feel trapped in that?
yeah, exactly. It's a big trap, and I would add a third element to that, or would people use it? So I had a lot of talks with people who are saying, "Oh, I think other people would need it, but I don't know." And what I would love to have is some feedback or at least maybe some support on promoting it. So if I want to do that, or I will do that, I will take the work. Also, I know it's expensive
Mm,
in terms of time. Um, I want to be sure that people get informed about that.
mm.
And so that people really are using it if they need it. And
So, as chief product officer, you can find interesting, useful things to bring out and show to people, and then help make sure it's maintained. And you can also probably do some market testing. You say, "Hey, people, did you know there's this thing out there, and would you use it?" And then you can help maybe target where that investment and that time goes.
yeah, exactly. That's the ideas. And so that's why we have this roadmap. Actually, we come, I think, later to the theme-based roadmap. But actually, first of all, I would like to give the people a vision and
Mm,
a reason why they should work on topics. And that's in a more general way, because actually, if even if I would like to talk with everyone and each agency, to be very honest, I'm not able to talk with everyone. That's very clear. So I need to address them in a different way, and I hopefully did that with the theme-based roadmap. But in a more specific way, I'm totally fine, or I totally would love to hear about what they have, what agencies or freelancers or even companies internally has built to make TYPO3 better,
mm.
and ask other people if they are interested in having that and if they think they need it, and how could it help other companies or
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people.
And then more people adopting a given extension integration solution will mean it'll become better quality. More people will test it. More people will suggest patches and improvements over time.
Exactly.
So it'll be
And
easier for everyone to use and better for everyone.
exactly. And another topic is that if you're not long in the community and you don't know a lot of people, it's very hard to know who can I ask for things. And
Mm,
that's one thing. And on the other side, we have the situation that people are not sure about best practices and so on. And so I think while we can, or I can do a lot of work in terms of communication, I should also think about how could we, enable the community to create more high quality products, and to display that it's not so hard to maintain a extension.
mm.
Um, um, Yesterday, I had a great talk with Matthias, our CEO at the GmbH.
So
And
just to be clear,
yeah,
right now we're talking in early March 2021. So yesterday is early March 2021. And
exactly. Yes.
Matthias is Matthias Schreiber, Matt Lefaux on Twitter, CEO of Typo3 GmbH.
Yeah, and we was talking about that I'm very focusing on the next releases. So actually, when I'm thinking about vision, I'm not talking about version Typo 3.10, but I'm talking about 11 and 12 and all that. And we were thinking about what can we do to in the time between version 10 LTS or 11 LTS and 12.0, and how could we handle it? And he came up with this a very important information. I didn't had I wasn't aware right now, but we used to say that we deprecate functionality in the old version, which will be removed in the next version. So that's what is a really good information, I
Mm,
think. So when I am developing something for my current version, version 10,
right,
and I set the Typo 3 version in a non-deprecated mode so that it's only use the new functionality,
right,
then it will be easily to bring it to the next version 11, because all the things we said, which is deprecated in the core, um, I'm not using anymore. So that's a very technical point. I'm not so technical on the normal moment, but it's a good thing what we have to tell the people how they can easily
right.
make the maintenance for extensions.
And the really helpful thing for your developer experience, if you're thinking about creating or maintaining typo 3 code, is that you can set the mode you want to be in, and you can set it so that it won't accept outdated or deprecated functions. You can set it to be relaxed and run whatever it can still. But as Volker pointed out, if you write code that is fully up to date for version 10 now and set it in the strict mode, it will work into version 11 pretty much guaranteed, unless there's some crazy security problem that we have to fix because we have to. But it's going to work into version 11, and then at some point, if you run and built into the core, you can analyze your own extensions for the new state of the code, and that right in every single TYPO3 instance, there's a tool that looks at the extensions that you wrote and put in there, and it'll tell you about all the code and all the functionalities and all the API calls you made, and whether they're still fully compliant or whether they're using things that have newly become deprecated. And it's basically like a quick and easy checklist to update it. And as soon as you do that in version 11, it'll be ready for version 12 without any more work, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's super helpful, and it's not a mysterious black box. It's documentation built inside the typo 3 backend is so impressive. It is so it's almost fun.
Yeah, if you actually if you like to read Doku, then it's fun.
Well, yeah, that says something
I
about my Saturdays, but anyway.
so yeah, but yeah, I don't want to become so technical in the
No,
interview,
come
but
on. We're geeking
it's
out here.
yeah, it's fine. But actually, it's I think they're really really good people, and I think you had a podcast with Benny, who is so yeah awesome in what he's doing, and he can explain all the technical things much better than me, to
Yeah.
be very
So
honest. So
yes,
um, I,
Benny and I talk on episode 6 and 7 of season 1, and honestly, I don't even think I got through half of my question list with him. So let's talk again. In fact, it might be fun for the three of us to talk, right? Because I'm quite interested to hear how you and Benny interact, thinking about this future from the technical perspective and from the community and product perspective together. I think that would be cool.
yeah, definitely. Actually, to give a short summary, it's working great. So
Well, that'll make a really
from the
boring podcast. Thanks.
yeah, no, actually, I don't think it's very boring, because we have different perspective and different ideas why we are doing it. But we bring it together.
Okay.
And actually, I'm looking more on the market. Benny
Yeah,
is
sure.
looking more on the technical view and on the technical innovation view. And luckily, that fits very well together. So
I think Benny's perspective is also richer because he is also the CTO of an agency. So he's not doing like pure something. He knows exactly what a client project looks like, and he knows exactly what his team needs to get things done. He said to me he said to me something like he does TYPO3 client work in the day, and he does TYPO3 for fun at night. The core development. So yeah, let's let's get that together, because I think actually I'd love to talk about the theme-based roadmap with both of you together. So that would be super cool. Thanks to the TYPO3 Association for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you B13 and Stephanie Kreutzer for our logo. Merci beaucoup Patrick Gaumont, TYPO3 developer and musician extraordinaire, for our theme music. Thanks again to today's guest. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe in the podcast app of your choice and share Application, the TYPO3 Community Podcast, with your friends and colleagues. If you didn't like it, please share it with your enemies. Would you like to play along and suggest a guest for the podcast? Do you have questions or comments? Reach out to us on Twitter at TYPO3 Podcast. You can find show notes, links, and more information in our posts on typo3.org. Remember, open source software would not be what it is without you. Thank you all for your contributions. So I can record you eating now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
You shaved for the interview. I'll take that as a compliment. Oh, wait a minute. Is that a haircut I see?
I just came back from the hair cutter. It is
Uh-huh.
actually more. My office is in the Sternschanze in Hamburg. I'm not sure if you know Hamburg, but
Uh-huh.
so we only have hipster friseurs here.
Oh, so you can only get
that's
hipster haircuts.
Why I have this hipster.
Oh, yeah, but it looks great. Did they give you a free tattoo as well?
No. Free tattoos starting from next week, I think. When Corona allows free tattoos again. I think in the moment, free tattoos are not allowed. But I think it starts from next week or the 15th. I'm not sure. So cut.